Look like the cream of wheat man trying to avoid getting cooked. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, a man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. New York Mayor Eric Adams is daring members of his own party to cancel him as he looks to support the new U.S. border czar Tom Homan and have a meeting with him.
Mayor Eric Adams making it loud and clear tonight that undocumented migrants who are criminals do not have a place in the city and should be deported.
This comes as a possible mass deportation of undocumented immigrants could happen after President-elect Donald Trump takes office. Pix 11's Eliezer Marte is live with more as the mayor says he's ready to work with the incoming border czar to address the crisis. Eliezer.
Yeah, Corey Grace, Mayor Eric Adams is not in favor of mass deportation. However, he believes that the city should send back to their country of origin those migrants that are criminals and disrupt the city. Mayor Eric Adams is putting his foot down on undocumented migrants who are violent.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country.
Adams stated on Tuesday he plans on meeting with President-elect Donald Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan.
And I would love to sit down with the border czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens.
Homan is a family separation czar. He said that entire immigrant families could be deported.
Immigrant-led organizations such as Make the Road New York say that this would only put immigrant New Yorkers against each other, adding that Adams is looking out for his own interests as he faces criminal charges.
It's disappointing now to continue to see the mayor not stand up to that and instead trying to cozy up to an administration for a possible pardon.
But professor and political analyst J.C. Polanco says this is a breath of fresh air for New Yorkers.
The sad part of it is that the crimes that are being committed are often against the migrant community itself. So the notion that we're going to somehow not work with the new administration, with the new border czar, on getting rid of the criminal element in the migrant community is outrageous.
Adams did make it clear that those undocumented immigrants who are working hard and not committing crimes should be given a chance at the, quote, American dream.
Those people should not be rounded up in the middle of the night.
We have sanctuary city laws here in New York that are designed to protect the undocumented community from the capricious deportation. We've taken that idea and now have blanket protections, even for those criminals that are here that happen to be part of the migrants that came here in New York to New York City.
Tovar, on the other hand, is concerned history will repeat itself.
We saw the family separation. We heard the children crying at the detention center. We know that a Trump administration is not going to distinguish between immigrants.
And Mayor Eric Adams used his Commissioner of Immigrant Affairs, Manuel Castro, as an example of migrants that are welcomed here in New York City. Castro crossed the U.S.-Mexico border at age of 5. He said that Castro is a hardworking man that achieved his American dream. On the other hand, about 56 asylum seekers remain under the care of the city, and this is as of last week. In Midtown, I'm Eliezer Marte, Pix 11 News.
Now, in an audacious about-face, New York Mayor Eric Adams is now calling for migrants who commit crimes to be deported and is talking about supporting incoming President Donald Trump and his border czar Tom Homan's plans to participate in mass deportation of migrants who've entered the country illegally and who have gone out here and committed crimes. Now, this is a complete about-face from what Eric Adams talked about previously regarding migrants who commit crimes, and Eric Adams in the past has said that migrants who commit crimes there was not much that could be done because of New York City's sanctuary city law. And that's where I have a critical question for Eric Adams. What happened to following the law, as he stated, as related to dealing with the migrant crisis, which has spiraled completely out of control due to Eric Adams ironically following the laws that were established as related to sanctuary cities from politicians like Andrew Cuomo and his father, Mario Cuomo, as related to making New York City a sanctuary city and making New York State a sanctuary state, and Bill de Blasio and the City Council's previous law, which stated that New York City would not go out here and look to help out ICE, Immigrations, Customs, and Enforcement with dealing with individuals who committed crimes in New York City. I'm wondering what caused Eric Adams to make this complete about-face as related to policy, because, again, in the past he said he was following the law until the 2024 election came and Kamala Harris was soundly beaten by Donald Trump in both the popular vote and was also beaten in the Electoral College, and all of a sudden Eric Adams has a completely different tune to sing regarding the whole situation regarding migrants in New York City. Now, Eric Adams, again, in the past has gone out here and looked to stand with the Blue Party until he couldn't find a way to go out here and find himself a job with the upcoming Biden administration. No, Eric Adams was down with the migrants as Texas Governor Greg Abbott sought to test the mettle of the sanctuary city policies established by the state of New York and New York City. And as Eric Adams was dealing with this whole challenge, he thought he could go out here and create a covert contract with the Biden administration as he openly virtue signaled and was seen on camera going out and looking to shake the hands of migrants and hand them items to help them in their coming into the country, and also look to provide them all of the services of New York City above our American homeless veterans and many homeless people, because he wanted to make them a priority, because his priority basically was going out here and getting himself a job with the Biden administration. Unfortunately, as he sought to look to play politics with the lives of New Yorkers as related to supporting these migrants, New York City's whole fiscal system became completely overwhelmed as the Department of Homeless Services could not go out here and take care of basically just 33,000 migrants by March of 2023. And by June of 2023, Eric Adams was basically crying uncle by saying that New York City would be destroyed by this migrant crisis. He's been shown on tape saying this, and as he made that statement that New York City would be destroyed by this migrant crisis, it would basically be destroyed by a migrant crisis that Eric Adams created in and of himself, all because he wanted to go out here and virtue signal to higher up members of the Blue Party like Governor Kathy Hochul and President Joe Biden, and wanted to go out here and hope to get brownie points with those politicians in the hopes of securing a job in a higher office, preferably in the Biden administration's 2024 cabinet. Unfortunately, over the course of 2023, Eric Adams' whole dreams of getting higher office blew up in his face as New York City's fiscal structure basically could not handle the load of just 30,000 migrants being added to the city's already strained city budget. And with 30,000 migrants just being added to the strained fiscal budget, Eric Adams sought to get help from Joe Biden, who basically was ignoring him overall, and was ignoring him because, one, he had no respect for Eric Adams, and because he was a black man. Two, had no respect for him because he wasn't a politician who was going to be able to help him be able to get resources for himself. And three, had no regard for him because he was coming to him from a position of weakness, And as he came to him from a position of weakness, what he hoped to do was be able to get funding for the migrants from the U.S. government, not understanding the subtle politics transpiring around him, or even basic politics as related to getting funding. No, Eric Adams was so caught up in his feelings about getting clout with Joe Biden, he didn't understand how finance works as related to Congress, and that with a red Congress in place in 2022, there was no way he could go out and be able to get any funding because the Red Party wasn't going to give him any sort of funding at all to support people who entered the country illegally. And sadly, what happened here with Eric Adams as he tried to play this chess game with a pink Candyland card is he wound up taking a fall into the caramel swamp. And as he took a fall in the caramel swamp, this is where Eric Adams started to get desperate, first by going to the border, and then after going to the border, hoping that he could dissuade many of the migrants from coming to New York and this blowing up in his face. He then started participating in desperate efforts to, again, look like doing things like suing bus companies. That case basically got thrown out of court. And then, as he was doing that, he was denouncing Joe Biden for his lack of support as related to the migrant crisis, when in actuality all he needed to do to basically solve the problem was go out here and look to just turn these people away, because according to the U.S. Constitution, again, the U.S. Constitution does not support sanctuary cities, and basically is this, since this is a federal matter, this is under federal jurisdiction. And again, matters related to people who enter the country illegally are supposed to be controlled by Immigration's Custom Enforcement. Unfortunately, Eric Adams didn't want to do that. He wanted to quote unquote follow the state laws instead of following the federal laws that are supposed to supersede state laws. And this is how we got the complete disaster known as the migrant crisis here in New York City, which destroyed the quality of life for most New Yorkers. And as it destroyed the quality of life for most New Yorkers, this is where many New Yorkers turned on Eric Adams, who used to support him and saw how incompetent a leader he is. And with Eric Adams' approval ratings basically nosediving as related to the migrant crisis, this is where he wound up falling completely apart politically. And that was further exacerbated when the Biden administration, according to some reports, looked to go out here and look to again investigate Eric Adams, as he believes as related to politically motivated investigations to him not towing the party line, and this leading to a series of raids of many of his members of his cabinet, and many of the members of his staff, and many of his contacts being raided, and even Eric Adams being confronted by government agents. All of this led up to an indictment as related to bribery and other charges as related to corruption as related to Eric Adams. And it's those decisions to again get as related to those indictments that have Eric Adams making this about face regarding migrants who he basically supported as far back as a couple of months before the election, with statements like saying he needed to follow the law as related to New York's sanctuary city law. However, as the 2024 election has passed, we see the mayor coming out with a completely different position, showing us all how he's full of crap, running some jive right now similar to George Jefferson on an episode of The Jeffersons. And the cream of wheat man, basically by making these statements, is looking to try to avoid being cooked. That's what's happening here with the cream of wheat man. He's basically trying to cover his ass as related to things. He wants to now look to support this plan to deport migrants accused of crimes, not to improve the quality of life for people here in New York City, but basically hoping to go out here and get some favor with President Trump as related to getting him, hopefully, creating a covert contract where he hopes to possibly either wind up avoiding the indictment because the prosecutor as related to his case has resigned from office. So he's hoping that Trump will use his favor to go out here and possibly drop the case, or if the trial goes on, hopes that Donald Trump will give him a pardon. This is why he's looking to side with this plan and looking to side with the Red Party, and is going out here participating in this whole statement, daring the Blue Party to go out here and cancel him for supporting Donald Trump. This is Eric Adams again playing Candyland on the chessboard, because as he dares the Blue Party to cancel him, he's basically putting himself in a place where he doesn't see the big picture once more, because he doesn't understand the subtle politics transpiring around him as related to the system of white supremacy. No, Eric Adams doesn't understand the system of white supremacy, and him basically daring the Blue Party to cancel him and their Blue Party supporters is the thing that will lead to him eventually getting canceled, because when it comes to the system of white supremacy, as Professor Black Truth has stated, bootlick is a job without a retirement plan, and Eric Adams has one foot out of the door and another on a banana peel. And the sad part is he can't see that he's basically sliding into one of two places. One is possibly a federal prison. The other one is virtual unemployment. This is where he's headed right now. And while he dares people to cancel him, he's thinking this is going to possibly be able to save him as related to the 2025 the mayoral primary. But I don't see that basically saving him at this point, because his whole record of incompetence is on a level of Kamala Harris, and with him on a level of incompetence like Kamala Harris, there's no way any sane New Yorker would go out here and re-elect Eric Adams after he basically started running the city into the ground, because he didn't look out for the safety of New Yorkers. That started out with him looking to again look to virtue signal and get brownie points with that vaccine mandate that kept 1 million black New Yorkers out of work and kept millions of and cost many city workers their jobs. So he's basically starting with a 1 million vote deficit as related to things, and he further exacerbated it by his just complete mismanagement of the city, basically letting crime get out of control in an effort to again maintain Bill de Blasio's dysfunctional policies and maintain his complete dysfunction, all because he wanted to get favor with Kathy Hochul and many of the members of the Blue Party. But as he looked to support his party, he basically ran the city straight into the ground and alienated, ironically, many of those people who never really had him as somebody they wanted in that position. And now that he sees that he can't get any more favor by bootlicking and shucking and jiving, the cream of wheat man looks to play another George Jefferson scheme by thinking that he's got support from Donald Trump. But I don't believe that he has support with Donald Trump. No, when it comes to many white people, they will do things as a formality to make it look like they're with you, but in actuality what they will do is flip the game on that black bootlick, and that's what I believe is going to happen to Eric Adams, who's out here looking to say, oh, he's going out here looking to deport migrants accused of crimes, when you could have gone out here and done that as related to things. Now, again, he was completely full of it when he said he followed the law, because, again, the mayors, as taking the oath, is not just about the Constitution of New York State, but the U.S. Constitution. And when it came to sanctuary cities, they basically were unconstitutional as related to the laws that were put in place, because here you have a state going out here and looking to say that they are not going to follow the U.S. Constitution. And basically the law made by Bill de Blasio in and of itself was completely unconstitutional. And with that law, he was saying, oh, we can't help ICE, a federal agency. And again, that violates the U.S. Constitution as related to the Supremacy Clause. So this is where I have to say that Eric Adams is completely full of it as related to his whole thing about following the law, because it don't look like he's following the law right now as related to looking to go meet with Tom Homan, the border czar. No, he ain't about following the law, about things as related to Bill de Blasio's law right now. And again, he's only doing this because he's desperate to get out of the jam he put himself in by looking to participate in this George Jefferson scheme by pandering to many of the same white supremacists who were basically 7 steps ahead of him as related to this political chess game. And as they were 7 steps ahead of him as related to this political chess game, they basically have checkmated Eric Adams. And as they've checkmated Eric Adams, they broke their tool when they indicted him. And now what Eric Adams is trying to do is try to find a way to weasel out of the situation he got himself in with Donald Trump. But I don't see him basically winning this game of chess because he's playing Candyland and again holding up that pink card once more. And as he holds up the pink card, he can't see that he's still a pawn on the board who's about to be taken out once again. Because he still doesn't understand the subtle politics transpiring around him, still doesn't understand that that meeting with Tom Homan will basically be a formality. It will be a formality because when it comes to white folks, they, again, will smile in your face, tell you what you want to hear, and then still do whatever they want. And when it comes to a bootlick, again, the bootlick is the one who doesn't see the big picture. And since they don't see the big picture regarding the subtle politics transpiring around them, what happens to the bootlick is the bootlick will wind up broken like Eric Adams is because he is no asset to Donald Trump in the fact that, one, he's extremely disloyal. That was basically shown by him swerving New Yorkers with that continuing to support Bill de Blasio's ridiculous vaccine mandate as related to people working in the city. That was just absolutely ridiculous because this was just something that was just absolutely absurd, and he kept it going months after the entire world ended it, and did that deliberately because he wanted to virtue signal and get those brownie points. But sadly, there were no brownie points as related to the migrant crisis, and he lost his favor. And when he lost his favor, again, white supremacy saw no use for him and broke this toy. And now he's presenting a broken toy to Donald Trump, hoping that he will go out here and get some crazy glue and some tape and put the toy back together. But again, what would white supremacy want with a broken tool? Again, it's something that he's thinking they're going to weaponize to go against the blue party. But it would be a lot smarter to just go out here and endorse your own candidate rather than go out here and keep a shill in place that is absolutely useless. Again, that would be a better strategy for Donald Trump to go out here and replace Eric Adams with a candidate of his own choosing and use that candidate to basically go out here and push his agenda, because most New Yorkers don't like Eric Adams. Most New Yorkers are tired of the blue party the same way they were in 1993 with David Dinkins basically ran the city straight into the ground trying to maintain Ed Koch's legacy and that of Abe Beame and many others who ran the city into the ground. And this is where Eric Adams is in the same place as David Dinkins, because he, like David Dinkins before him, didn't understand the subtle politics transpiring around him, and the ultimate plan was to get the black candidate and make him look like the fool and make him look like the face of incompetence. And again, what would Donald Trump want to do with an incompetent person who can't run anything? He has no use for this dude. And again, he's basically trying to keep himself out of a federal jail with Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles. But the whole thing is that both roads he's on, again, are on a banana peel, because he's either going to be voted out of office or be convicted on a federal indictment. This is the road that most black politicians are on as related to things, because many of these black bootlicks basically, they are looking to get social currency and not thinking about looking to build any sort of thing as related to politics. And because they look for social currency, they can't see that the whole game is rigged. And basically, when it comes to Eric Adams, he's still trying to go out here and trying to get an extra man on this video game as related to politics, but he never saw that the game was over the minute he decided to go out here and run for the office of mayor, because white supremacy basically had him set up as a patsy from minute one. And as they had him set up as a patsy, they had him set up to take the fall. They had him set up to take the fall because their narrative was to present the black man as a face of incompetence, to present the black man as not being capable of being able to run run a municipality. This is a narrative they have been pushing ever since the days of Birth of a Nation, where in that movie they wanted to say that an entire society fell apart because the former black slaves started running things, and this is the agenda that they wanted to push and the narrative that they wanted to push. And sadly, Eric Adams can't see the big picture regarding the subtle politics transpiring around him, and can't see that he's basically run out of road because they're white and they say so, and because they're white and they say so, they're saying he's got to go, and they plan for him to go in the most ignominious fashion. They plan for him to go in the most ignominious fashion because the whole plan for Eric Adams was to see him take the fall so that we would not see another black mayor for another 30 years. That's the whole plan, is to traumatize people, to say, hey, this black man, whenever you put him in a place of power, he always fails. And sadly, that's the whole story that's going on with Eric Adams as related to this whole situation. He's basically looking to try to monkey branch over to the Red Party, but he'll find that that vine is going to get cut because, again, there are two, both with the red and blue parties, there are two wings on the same dirty bird of white supremacy, and they have the same plan for black bootlicks, and that plan is one where bootlick is just a job without a retirement plan, and that black man goes out in the most humiliating fashion that they desire to see him fall into. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find them on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to continue to see me making content on the channel, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, A Steam Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.